So we have built an AI agent, a personal assistant. It works on localhost. It is useful for me, but my family members are not happy. They cannot use it. My daughter and my wife, they're complaining. Today we will fix that.
Yeah, so we are taking this from works on only my machine to a live URL where anyone can visit, like using one tool.
Yes, so we are going to walk through the entire deployment to make this playlist complete. That is about this session today.
Welcome back to genai.mentor. I'm Sreeja.
And I'm Raffi. So quick recap. In episode 1, we have covered theory behind AI agents, autonomy of AI agents. In episode 2, we opened up the code base and repo. We walked through the agent architecture line by line. Episode 3, we deep dived into building AI with AI. So in this episode, we are going to show how do we deploy that into production.
Exactly. And every time my friends ask me the same question, Raffi, how do I actually deploy this in this cloud?
Yeah. Exactly. So today in this episode, everyone is waiting for this. We are going to do it from taking from local host to production. Yeah.
So what is the game plan for this?
We are going to deploy to Firebase, which is gives us static hosting, serverless function, and a database and authentication all in one platform. We are going to use Claude Code as our copilot for the entire process of deployment. I'll show the commands. How am I doing in this episode? Claude Code will help us understand what's happening, and by the end, we'll have a live app.
I can't wait for it. Let us go for it. But before we start clicking the buttons, let us talk about why this Firebase. There are a lot of cloud platforms out there like AWS, Google Cloud, Versal, Railway. Why did you pick Firebase for this project?
Yeah, great question. So for an AI agent app like ours, we need four things. One, hosting at the front end, serverless function for the backend, and real-time database for conversations and also memory, episodic memory and long-term memory, etc. And also authentication, so that user need to be authenticated to access the data. So Firebase gives all of them under one roof.
And what about the cost, Rafi?
Say Firebase is a generous free tier which is a Spark plan. So you get around 50,000 functions invocation per month, 1 GB of Firebase storage, 10 GB of hosting bandwidth. For a personal project or a demo, you might never pay $1. So it all comes free.
That is very interesting. But what about when it grows?
You need to upgrade from Spark plan to the Blaze plan as soon as you want to use certain services. So you can switch to Blaze plan within this usage limit also. So you don't pay, but when the limit changes, if you get 1,000 users or more than 10,000 users, you will start paying as you go. You're using technologies like serverless function, and that also gets invoked whenever it is needed. So it's a good architecture to start with, so you don't need to spend anything to build it, and you pay as your user is growing.
Got it. And what about the deployment story? Is it complicated or what?
So that's the best part. So Firebase CLI handles everything. One command to deploy hosting, one command for functions and deploying rules, all of it. All integrates perfectly with the technologies that we use.
So let us not wait further. Let us set this up, Rafi. I'm so eager to see how it looks.
Yeah, all right. Let me open up Cloud Code and start the deployment. Let me share my screen. First thing, let's make sure we have everything we need installed. So I'm going to ask Cloud Code to help check. So I started Cloud Code in our project directory where we build that AI personal assistant. So now I'm going to just verify. So let me give some prompt to Claude. Yeah, so help me verify the prerequisite for deploying this project to Firebase. It will do some check. Since the Firebase version is there, it's asking me to check the version, etc. So after certain analysis with the tools, it will give me is a prerequisite all there for the deployment.
It's so nice not to check all the prerequisites. What are we looking for?
It's verifying. Wait a minute. So it's still doing the analysis. So it will come in few seconds. Okay, it is doing some checks. What are the Firebase capabilities we are using? So it is trying to find the analysis within the code. And what is the setup? In a few seconds, it will tell.
Okay.
Yeah, it is also checking it is going through the project and accordingly it will get ready for the deployment.
Got it. But this saves a lot of time, no, manually rather than debugging. Do we have all the prerequisites installed? Do we have the right versions and all? This saves a lot of time.
Yeah. Now it is given a holistic checklist, right? The Firebase CLI is installed, authentication is done. I'm using my Gmail ID and Firebase configuration is present. If you are starting new, then it will say you do not have Firebase CLI. You need to. It will also give the instructions to install and it will tell you, okay, these are all missing. So it is analyzed and it is saying everything is there. Only Firebase RC is missing. No Firebase active project is linked. I think that is fine because I switch between one project to other projects.
Got it. So if someone doesn't have any one of this, it will throw an error, is it?
Yes, it will say cross mark and then every time Claude they are improving. So before it used to give only text, now it is giving a holistic table format. So it will tell what is missing and then it will also tell what you need to do and it will ask you, can I do it for you? So if you see here, Firebase RC is missing and it is saying, do you want me to create that? So now I'll say which project.
So it shows this is missing and it will also help you to fix that.
Yeah. It will tell you first, this is what you need to do. And it will also ask, do you want me to do? Then it will create some tool if it is needed. And then it will install. Yeah. So it is saying, okay, I switch between projects, the multiple Firebase projects. So I'm just making sure the assistant Raffi project is used. Okay. So it is confirmed. Okay. Now let's move on. So now it given complete analysis, right? Let me go further analyze what features am I using. Firebase JSON is the main configuration. I'm going to ask, okay, analyze the Firebase JSON. So I'll share these prompts. These are good prompts and you can frame your own prompts.
The prompts change based on our needs and based on our whatever we are doing, right? So yeah, it's completely customized. Got it. So it's trying to break down something for you.
I asked to analyze what are the deployment architecture I'm using. So it has given the structure. First of all, I'm using a serverless function. These are the functions are there. I'm using Firebase hosting for static front end and Firestore for database. Okay. And what are the environment keys? So it is given complete detail. So for example, if I build and I ask somebody in my team to do deployment, so they can use this and quickly find out, okay, this application has this many components. This is the deployment architecture. So it will be very clear. So there are three functions we are using: hosting, functions, and Firebase database. So it is given complete detail. Even what is the structure of Firebase schema also. The users are there, conversation are there, memory is there. How is the request also flows as a customer user journey? When you click, it goes to API and it goes to the cloud functions and then you get your response.
Wow. And I also see that rewrite section. No? So that looks like a traffic cop for me. Any request to this API chat gets routed to that chat cloud function, isn't it?
Here, if you see the API, the rewrite, that API will go to one of these. So either it is chat or config or Google integration, etc. So it follows the routing technique to rewrite and then send the request to the right functions.
Yeah. And the last rewrite, the source, it goes to index.html.
Yeah, so when you give the API, it goes to the respective function. If not, it need to go to the front-end application. So basically index.html is the starting point for the front end. So from there, the reactor router will kick in which component need to be rendered. So it is a single page application pattern. So it takes care of it. Either it goes to the routes to the cloud function in the backend, or its routes to the respective component rendering in the front end.
Got it. Got it. So I just want to go back to something you said, like static hosting, right? So our application uses Next.js, if I remember it rightly. So which is typically a server-side framework, right? So how does that work with this Firebase host?
Yeah, that's a great catch, Sreeja. So basically, we use a dynamic server, right, for front end. So let me show you something. Okay, let me ask a prompt. Let Claude explain it to you. So I have a prompt because sometimes human doesn't explain clearly. AI explains better.
So if you want to debug, we'll ask Claude. If you want to explain, we can ask Claude. Wow.
Because it narrates well. So and also it gives the right pointer for me to explain. So that's how human and AI we work together. Let it give some pointer. I'll explain it to you. So there is a configuration here. This is the one. So it has given many detail, especially the main thing is the export. So you built a dynamic application in Next.js, but when I build it, so that exports the content into static hosting, which helps me to have a better performance and also better SEO. Okay, for example, we built in our website the books, so books and tutorials. We have a lot of content, so that I built with Next.js and Firebase content. But when I build it, the Firebase content, Next.js content gets exported to HTML, CSS, which helps me to put proper SEO on it. So this is the point for your question, how the dynamic content is changed to static content in the build process, npm run build. So output is exported to the output directory, which is the static content. So that is the switch.
So this export is the key, basically, that turns your Next.js into a static site.
Correct, exactly. So we get all the developer experience benefit of Next.js and file-based routing and the component model, TypeScript support, but the output is just a static files that any web server can host.
So we spoke about the front end. Let's talk about a bit on the back end. So in episode 2, I remember we looked at the agent code, right? In the library agent and all. But in production, that is not what actually runs, right?
Right. Say now when we build in the development, we don't need to have dependency on functions, etc. We can call the internal JS function. And in production, it need to kind of go through the serverless function. So let me ask Claude Code to walk us through. Okay, so again, will assist. So I'll give a prompt. It will explain.
I agree.
So it will analyze, find out how many functions are there, how it is getting routed, etc. It will just show you. Basically, here what you are learning is you can take assistant of Claude to understand a project, understand the deployment architecture, understand the routing. So here, if you see, it is given very neat. A new developer joining into team, you can use these things and come to up to speed in day one.
Wow, very detailed.
Yeah, so there are 6 functions, what each one will do. Okay, so it is saying there are 6 functions. First is config, which is used for settings functions for the front end. It shows the Anthropic key setting and also how to integrate with the MCP integration with Google, etc. And it saves, persists that configuration. And API chat, which is the main one, which is entire agent brain, that is an agentic loop, etc. It goes, user prompt is getting converted and then combined with system prompt. Agentic loop gets executed, pulling the memory, episodic memory. So then it will return. So all of that happens in this agent API chat cloud function. So similarly, there are a few other functions.
Got it. So what about the dependencies, Raffi? Does the cloud function have its own package.json or something?
Say now, say you have dependencies in package.json. Okay, let me show the dependencies. There are 3 key dependencies.
That also we'll ask with Claude. This is very interesting.
Otherwise, I need to pull one file. Now I stopped using IDE. I don't go to Visual Studio Code because I need to go to the directory. I need to open that file. It takes time for me. Rather, I can keep discussing and put a command. It can pull and explain. It will not only pull the file, it will also explain me. Okay, so now if you see, if you open the file, I'll see the JSON file. Okay, it has given me complete dependencies in the project. What are the npm packages we are using? So we are using a lot of Next React and a lot of Redux packages. So let me go to the key packages. Okay, so now Firebase is one of the key packages which I'm using for database and Firebase admin. Okay, Anthropic AI is because we are using Anthropic SDK for doing agentic application. So all the dependencies are maintained in the package.json. So these are the key dependencies. When you build a enterprise grade application, you will have hundreds plus dependencies. You need to maintain carefully the right version so that you don't get into security vulnerability. If there is vulnerability when you build, you can ask Anthropic only fix it. It will quickly upgrade to the next version where there is no vulnerability.
Wow, that is amazing. That saves a lot of time. Yeah. So we discussed about the front end, we discussed about the backends and the dependencies as well. Here's where things get serious, right? So our application needs API keys and OAuth credentials. So how do we handle the secrets in production?
That is very important. Okay, this is very critical. Otherwise, I think all the tutorial, if you see and then just go right to production projects, you will make a lot of security loopholes. So let me show you how we do it properly. Okay, so again, I have prompt. So let Claude explain it to you, which is our co-pilot now for this session.
Yeah, I think we should include Claude as one of our mentor as well.
So we have 3 members now. Raffi, Sreeja, and Claude. Now it's analyzing. When you ask somebody, say, imagine you are talking to a developer in a team and ask this question. Okay, either you will get answer, I will come back to you, or you will point one more, please go and ask the technical lead or architect, right? But here you will not get, I will come back to answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you asked about security. Okay, there are a few points. So first I will touch upon one by one.
Okay.
The most important is your Anthropic key. This Anthropic key in our assistant API, we are making to be set by the user in the settings page. We'll go to that at the end. Okay. Other than this, we are doing the integration for MCP server and tool to Google. So Google Client ID, Google Secret is very important for our project to communicate with Google. So whenever user selects, okay, give me the permission. So our application project is a intermediary connections to Google. Okay. So we need to set up a Google Client ID and secret. That I'm setting in a proper configuration file, which is set in the environment file, which is saved into the project. So that is used whenever MCP tools connectivity happens. It get that Google connect Google Client ID and secret, and it connects to the Google for the user account when user authorizes to access the Gmail or calendar, etc. And it is properly encrypted and saved and .env file. And .env file is not checked in into the GitHub repo.
And what about this Git ignore?
We have published our repo to access anybody. In that repo, you will not find .env file. Okay, because that is a secret file which is having Google Client ID, secret ID. If I check in that file, anybody can get that's my security tokens or client ID. Prevented .gitignore file is the file which tells when you check in or push the file, don't check in these files into the repository. So all these file will be ignored when you check in into your repository, which are secret files. So you are never supposed to check in any your Anthropic key or client secrets into repository. So it will kind of anybody can take it and reuse it. It is a kind of dangerous thing.
So that's kind of a security check that I understood. So what about the user's Anthropic API key? Because I remember noticing that the app has a settings page where users enter their own key in the previous episodes, right?
So now, say we created a personal assistant application. So right now, I did not bind with a particular my key, and I posted this application as an open source project. And I will be deploying it. Anybody can use it after I deploy now. Say when you use the API for accessing tokens, typically you need to pay. Already many people are using Claude and or some guys have OpenAI. Every application, if they ask $15, so you don't want to pay $15 and end up with a huge money for the monthly expense. So I exposed the application so that if a user, for example, you have a Claude CLI or Claude subscription, you can take one API key for this application and put it and use it. As you use, you will pay. If you don't use it, you don't need to pay.
Oh, that's interesting. So the user can use our own API keys there.
Correct. Correct. So that gives a flexibility. Otherwise, say you pay $15 subscription, $20 subscription, you don't use at all, then you will end up paying $15. So I can, if I'm publishing this as a product, I can charge $5 or $2 for hosting, and Claude Code subscription, use your own, bring your own API key.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we touched upon a lot of things. Let us now talk about security. So we are storing user data in the Firestore conversions, right? Memories, the API tokens and stuffs. How do we lock that down?
Yeah, this one is the security at the database layer, which is most important in the deployment step.
Yes.
Let me show you how the Firebase security rules are. It is very good actually. So let Claude explain it to us. So Firebase has a firebase.rules, which is one file, which is a configuration which you can deploy, which goes and sits into the Firebase console. It will just show the detail. Each record you can control.
Oh.
So yeah, each collection you can control who can access. All that document mostly is controlled by user level because this is our assistant application, right? Yeah, it is kind of taken that file and giving an explanation. So,
Highlighting the issue.
correct, highlighting the issues. So maybe if any issue is there, I need to fix it. Okay. 1 minute. I'll pick up one rule which is very important.
Okay.
Yeah, this one. So if you see users, I say if this application being used by multiple user, one user should not see other user documents. So that user ID only is the owner for all the document, for the conversation of that user, memory of that user, configuration of the user, where you have API key, Entropy key, and your MCP connection setting and all. So all of this is kind of only that user can read their document. Firebase is a hierarchical database. So users is a collection. Under that user ID is a document. Any sub collection or document under the user ID will be read and written by only the user who is having access. If that user is authenticated using Firebase authentication, then only that user can access. If you try to query anything else, you cannot read also.
Got it. So every piece of data will live under this user/users ID. And the rule is like very simple. Only you can access your own data. Is it right?
Exactly. The isOwner function, which will check basically, are you the owner for the data based on the login credential authentication, and then it will allow you to access. Otherwise, there will be an error.
Okay, got it. And that catch all at the bottom, that will allow read and write, right? So does it mean that anything outside the user's collection is completely locked?
The default is deny. So here, if you see deny is there, right? So the catch-all will default to deny. So default is deny. So nobody can access any data until otherwise the rule approves you.
That sounds so secure. Okay. So moving on, we need to talk about a little bit on the OAuth, right? Because in development, the redirect goes to localhost, but in production, that URL will change. So how do we handle this?
So this, so basically, many people get confused here. Let me show you what we need to change between the local and production. Okay,
Are
so
you
you
going to
need
call
to
Claude again?
have a prompt. So all this prompt will publish in a document. Okay, so it can be handy. Many people don't know what to ask question. The answers are there with LLM, but what to ask LLM is a kind of knowledge now.
Yeah, this will really help a lot of people. So it's trying to walk us
Basically,
through the configuration.
Let it get. In the meantime, I can explain. Basically, you
Yes.
need to have callback URL. Say whenever you communicate with Google or any other integration, so you access a third party. Okay, so when you access third party, whether it is Google or any API integration, after authentication, it will call back an URL. You need to configure that URL. Yeah. So the local deployment, it is using the localhost simulator, etc. But in production, these are the callback URL. Okay, there are two domains. So for each of these domain, one for hosting and I think these two domains for hosting Firebase users. So this is the redirect URL for the cloud function. When you approve a connectivity to Google, a user does, then Google will call back this URL of the functions. So Google callback, which is one of the endpoint in our function. Then a handshake will happen and OAuth token will be kind of established. So this is the flow. Okay, when user clicks connect in the MCP server setting, it will call Google OAuth for the scope for Gmail as a connector. Then Google will call back our URL, the callback URL. Then the handshake will get complete, and then you will be able to kind of use that as a tool in your MCP server when you do a chat. So this is the establishing the OAuth connectivity for the tools and the MCP. Permission is important, we told in the autonomy of AI. Yeah. Otherwise, you will let any data to be accessed by anybody, which is a kind of risk. So you need to set up the callback URL, and sometimes you need to go to Cloud Console and then provide some permission service account, etc.
So basically these two
Then it will-
URLs are the main thing, like one for hosting and one for the cloud functions.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. So I think we've pretty much covered all the configurations like front end, back end, secure the APIs, the OAuth and stuff. Now it is time. Let us actually deploy this thing.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to use Claude Code to deploy.
This is redefining the processes. So again, we are calling Claude.
Yeah. So basically, it will call the Firebase CLI function, Firebase deploy. It will deploy the hosting. It will deploy the rules. It will deploy the cloud function. So I can do that manually. So I need to open and then go to the right directory and type that command, etc. So here, first it will figure out. It understood what are the functions I'm using. Three things: hosting functions and Firebase. Okay, so now what is it saying?
I remember we made it all like static break.
Yeah, one minute. I think there are. Okay, it is telling how to set up, etc. Okay, so now I think I have the things. Just check.
Yeah.
Let me open my env file. Yeah, so it figured out. So I had a config file. I removed it for the explanation. Okay, let me show one more screen. Okay.
We should not tamper with any of the files.
So basically there are two files. Okay, so now when you create a new project, yeah. So this is my Firebase project. Okay, so when you create new project, you will go to the settings and here you will have this. So you need to go to project settings. In the project, you need to go to project settings and go down. You will have the API key, what is the project and what is the app ID. All of this will be there. So you need to configure this here in your environment. Okay, so now let me go back, switch back to the console.
Okay.
So
And
you
we'll
need
enter
to
these three
configure.
details.
Correct. So these details you need to configure the environment. So then CLI can work. Okay. So now this I already deployed once. So the file was there. So I cleared off to set up and demonstrate today. So it picked up from some file and intelligently it is configuring by itself. I think I took a backup before I clear it off. Otherwise, you need to open the .env file and then you need to kind of set it up.
So it's helping us to solve the problem.
So then it is running the build. First, it is checking the environment. And then it is running the build. So if you do manually, you need to find out, you need to have knowledge what are the configuration need to be set. If that file is not there, then it would have told, okay, you need to configure this key. Then you need to go create a new project in Firebase console, then get the project setting and download that and then set it up.
Okay.
That is a minimal step that you need to do. Creation of project because it is not authorized to create a project because it will involve the authentication in Firebase console and all. Go to Firebase console, sign up and then create a new project and get the project setting and set up in the environment file, whichever it is suggesting.
Got it. And Claude can help us to solve if we encounter any problems.
Anything you stuck, you just ask, okay, I'm stuck at this point. What do I do now?
Yeah. That's a huge shift, no? Anyone can code now.
Anyone can code, build an application that you can launch.
Yeah, got it. So it is giving us some more suggestions.
Yeah, build is successful. Now I think I'll ask to, yes, so it built. It's asking, can I proceed with the functions build?
The size looks very small, no? It's all in KB.
That is the beauty of static. So it exposes into HTML, JavaScript. So it kind of optimizes. It will internally use JSLint and some optimization technique. Okay, it found some fix also.
Is it building the cloud functions now?
Correct. So when it builds, if it gets an error, it will fix it.
What are the common errors that you generally see at this stage, Raffi?
Say if you are building for first time, very rarely I see a TypeScript error. One or two, say 98% you will not get error. 2% there may be small error in TypeScript if any dependency are not different files are not changed, or sometimes the environment configuration related for deployment. But most of the time, does a pretty good job. And if there is an error, you don't need to do huge effort. It fixes it. It's a loop, agentic loop. Claude has agentic loop. So it internally runs 100-turn agentic loop or more than that. I don't know exactly how many turns it takes. But agentic loop is there within Claude Code, which takes care of that build, compile, build, fix, etc. Yeah, now it is built it. Now it's asking next step is deploy, please deploy.
Wow, we are in the final tile.
Correct.
So we're deploying everything into the Firebase, is it?
So we're going to deploy hosting, we are going to deploy function, and we are going to deploy Firebase database rules. So when you use Firebase deploy, it deploys everything. If you want to use deploy of hosting, then you can need to deploy hosting only. If you want to deploy functions, then you can do deploy functions only. If you want to deploy Firebase rules, you can deploy Firebase rules only. It also allows incremental deployment, so that if you are changing only rules, you don't need to change the deployment of functions. It's all separated by concern.
But if you just give Firebase, it'll deploy everything.
We deploy all based on Firebase config. So it has a configuration. What are the features we are using? So here, if you see, it is deploying the functions now.
Yes.
So maybe we can go to control O. Yeah. So control O shows complete what is happening. So if you see, if it is deploying Firebase functions and hosting. So the detailed view you can see. So if you don't want a detailed view, you let Claude take care. So then you can come out of this. It will give only snippet of 4 lines here.
Yeah, this looks easy for people like me. So when are we going live?
In few seconds.
Yeah, I can see the time running there, 1 minute. 30 seconds, 40 seconds. In between, if there is any problem, Claude will self-figure out this is the problem, and it will also ask us if you want me to solve this problem. If we give yes, it is solving on its own. If not, it is just prompting.
It understand what you are doing, okay? Because you ask the prompt, explain me this deployment architecture, etc. So then it understand it, because it has whatever we explained, agent, it applies to Cloud.
Yeah.
Now it uses the short-term memory. When you see compacting, it uses long-term memory. It converts the short-term memory to long-term memory. Cloud Code has a wide context window. It remembers what are the conversation you are doing in this chat, and it understands what is the steps you are making, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then what will be the next step you will be thinking, and it will advise you. Yeah, I can't wait for this to go live. Generally takes more than 2 minutes. Yeah, say if you deploy only functions, it will be quick. Say now you're deploying complete, right? So it takes a little few minutes. If it is only, yeah. So now it is going to Firestore. Yeah, I think deployment complete. Okay. So now deployment, yes. So we can check that. That is the last step for this. Yeah. Okay, so now how will we check? Okay, let me go to the assistant tab. Let me share my browser window. Okay, anyone with the URL can use that. Yes, so you can use single sign in with Google. So this is the URL. You can give a try. You can put your API key and connect to your Gmail calendar. Wow, we are live. That too within few minutes. Yeah. So we were explaining complete session, right? But actually we did deployment. I would say 5 minutes for your deployment. So we have explained the deployment architecture, and then we walked through all of that, right? So it took, since I used it already, so the whole conversations are there. So I'll show you the settings part. Okay. Okay. So this is where you can put your, yeah. So now I can go and tell my family members, okay, they can also use the assistant for my daughter, the schedules, and from the school, and for my wife for the work. Or any activities, etc. So you can do the API key setting, which model you want to use for reasoning or task, and what integration you can do. So all once you do, then you can come back and do a chat. So now people. So let us wrap it up. But just to give an insight on what did we cover today, like 5 key things, if you can point out, that will really help the viewers. Yeah, give me a minute sharing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what are the 5 things? Okay, let's summarize. Okay, so number 1, architecture for deployment. Okay, we use Next.js for frontend, and then we did a static export to the frontend when we deployed to Firebase hosting, and we used Firebase Cloud Functions for the backend. And also we ensure necessary security enablement are done for the tooling integration for MCP and the Google client ID, security ID. So architecture is very important. Number 2, the configuration is everything. So you need to have a Firebase.json to configure which project you use, what features you use, hosting functions, security, etc. And AI will help you to do it right. But you need to remember configuration-driven application development. Third is the security from day one. So you don't see that I'll develop later on, I'll work on security. So security from day one is important. Firebase rules enforces user data isolation. OAuth tokens are used for third-party connectivity for your connectors, MCP tools. And security headers also protects any web attack, and HTTP. Yes, the SSL certification, which you pointed, also important. Okay, fourth one, we can use Claude Code for your deployment copilot. Okay, because I say three things already. Okay, you may be overwhelmed, but you can take assistant of Claude Code, which helps you to do all of this by design by itself. Okay, you don't need to do, you don't need to ask. Okay, all of this is taken care when you build it with Claude. Okay, if you have any error, it can also help you to diagnose and fix it. The last one, right, when you deploy, say this is small project. When you have big project, you will have thousands of Firebase functions. You can deploy incrementally. You can deploy one function at a time. Because in this deployment itself, it took 2 minutes for deployment for functions, base, and hosting. So you can deploy hosting separately. You can deploy one function at a time on Firebase rules. So deploy incrementally based on the change that you do.
Got it.
These are the 5 things to summarize.
That really helps, Raffi. That gave the entire thing in one picture. Thank you so much for that. But I'm more interested in what is coming up next.
With this episode, Build AI playlist is coming to an end. Yeah, thanks for everyone for watching. So we will be posting a new set of videos and playlist. Stay tuned. I think more things are coming. We are kind of going after the new things that are coming. So stay tuned.
Yeah, same here. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more GenAI related videos. Happy developing.
Yep. Happy learning.